Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about movie crap. Oscar nominations breakdown edition. This is kind of a special edition of movie crap. I usually do an Oscar nominations breakdown where I just go through all the things with the nominations. This is not so much a prediction thing. That'll be later if I get to make that video with my wife being 8 months pregnant. Who knows if that'll happen, but we're going to just roll with the punches with this, and we'll do this one. There will be a episode of movie crap that'll just be about movie news, which is typical for the show, which will be out on Friday. I think I said Saturday originally, but it's going to be Friday now, and there'll be something else on Saturday, hopefully. But this will not have any movie news other than the nominations, which I guess is movie news, but this will not have like other movie news in it. This is just Oscar nominations. Another thing is, if you don't want to hear me go over every single category, which I am except for the shorts, because like I don't know anything about the shorts and they don't let you watch them, and it's a hard category to get into, so I don't even go over those. Although that Pixar short was nominated, so that's cool. So that was Pixar's only thing this time. Pixar always gets in there. But if you want to see me talk about a specific category, go to the info box and there will be timestamp links to each of the different categories. So you can just click on those and go to, if you want to hear me talk about best supporting actress or best visual effects or whatever, or hop around, or you can just watch on through and hear me talk about every single category. I'll talk about records and things like that have been broken and big deals with those things. The two big things with this one is that La La Land scored 14 nominations, tying it with Titanic and All About Eve for the most nominations for any film. So it's already in history with those two. Yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves or anything. Arrival and Moonlight also got 8 nominations, which is incredibly good, as well as a lot of black filmmakers and black actors and a lot more diverse nominees. Not a ton of diverse nominees, but a lot more than usual. I'm not going to say Oscar So White is canceled this year, and a lot of people got in trouble for saying that would probably happen, although I noticed since the nominations came out, people have made it okay to do that, but before it was like you were a pariah if you said that. So that's interesting how that's changed. But this is a much more diverse group. It doesn't really make up for all the other years, or like, Driving Miss Daisy winning Best Picture the year Do the Right Thing came out and not even nominating Do the Right Thing and acting like that was okay. But certain things like now Denzel Washington has extended his record for most nominees by a black actor. Viola Davis set a record with 3 nominations for the most nominations from an African American actress, and Octavia Spencer is actually the first female African American winner to receive a second nomination. It's 2017, by the way, when the documentary category has more black filmmakers than ever before and things of that nature. So it's a far more diverse crowd than ever before, and I think that's something the Academy was at least hoping would happen at a certain point. A lot of big things and a lot of interesting things going on in these categories, as well as La La Land just being nominated for a ton of stuff. When it comes to La La Land, an interesting statistic to remember is the most Oscars won is 11, which was by Lord of the Rings Return of the King. Has the perfect sweep, like it won everything it was nominated for. La La Land actually cannot do that, believe it or not. La La Land can only win 13 because it's nominated twice in original song. But if it won all 13, it could. It doesn't look like it will. It could actually tie the most Oscars won, which is also by 11, which Ben-Hur did as well as Return of the King. So it actually, believe it or not, has that possibility. By the way, I don't like to give predictions in these videos just because so much can happen between now and when the awards go out, that by the time the awards go out, we'll find out things like, that La La Land is really all about Pepe the Frog, or that, Casey Affleck sexually assaulted someone and then paid them off. I don't know. Lots of stuff could happen. But anyway, so I'm going to start with Best Animated Feature. Now, in Best Animated Feature, you had 5 nominees, those being Kubo, Moana, My Life is a Zucchini, The Red Turtle, and of course Zootopia. Some big shakeups in this category. First, Kubo. With Laika, every film Laika's ever made has been nominated for Best Animated Feature, even Box Trolls. That's pretty remarkable, especially as they keep making films and they keep getting nominated. I think a lot of people thought Sausage Party could come in here. It kind of became clear that was not gonna happen, but I think it would have been interesting just because it's the first real big studio R-rated animated film to like push that as far as it could. With Moana, Ron Clements was one of the directors on this, has now tied for 3 nominations, which is the most nominations anyone's had in this category. This category is relatively new in the grand scheme of things, but he ties with Pete Docter, Chris Sanders, and Hayao Miyazaki. So that's Ron Clements, who also has directed lots of great animated films, now has 3 with Pretty Good Company. This category continues to nominate smaller animated films, which I think is probably one of the best things about it. Now, My Life is a Zucchini and The Red Turtle will get bigger distribution, will get a bigger spot on streaming. That's usually what happened. If you look at what happened to Ernest and Celestine or Song of the Sea and other films, it really promotes those films, and that's something about this category I've always absolutely loved. I think Zootopia is still kind of the favorite. Zootopia is probably the film I like the most of these. Another interesting thing is Toshiya Suzuki, who is the producer for Studio Ghibli and has only been nominated once before for The Wind Rises, I believe, gets his second nomination for The Red Turtle. I actually didn't realize he produced it, so I was kind of surprised he got nominated there as well. Studio Ghibli, I think, still holds a certain place with the Academy voting for Best Animated Feature, and it definitely helped The Red Turtle. Best Supporting Actress, you have Viola Davis, who, of course, as I said before, is the most nominated African-American woman in Academy history. She, by the way, has never won also, and obviously she's the favorite in this category, but I think that just adds an extra layer of, oh shit, she has the most nominations ever. Oh shit, she's actually never won. And she's also Viola Davis, and she's amazing. Naomi Harris, it's her first nomination. Nicole Kidman, it's her 4th nomination, first in the Supporting Actress category. She's never been nominated as Supporting Actress. The others were Lead Actress. Octavia Spencer, 2nd nomination, first time a black actress who's won, has scored a 2nd nomination, which again, depressing fact. Michelle Williams, this is her 4th nomination total, her 2nd in this category. The other time was for Brokeback Mountain, and she has never won. Interestingly enough, the most any actress has won in this category is twice, so if Octavia Spencer were to win, she would tie for most wins of all time. Best Supporting Actor, there's a lot of first-time people. Mahershala Ali, who's the favorite, or at least at this time, it's his first nomination for Moonlight. Other first-time nominees, we have Dev Patel for Lion, and then we have Lucas Hedges, who is kind of the big surprise. I don't think anyone thought Lucas Hedges was going to get nominated. Oscars doesn't really nominate younger men for awards, so it's actually kind of surprising. Jeff Bridges, this is his 7th nomination, 4th in this category. Last time he was nominated for Best Supporting was The Contender in 2000. The first time he was nominated in this category was Last Picture Show, believe it or not. And of course, he won before for Best Lead. Michael Shannon was another real surprise. He got the only nomination for Nocturnal Animals, which doesn't bode well for him, but you can win in Supporting Actor if you haven't been nominated anywhere else. The last time he was nominated was Revolutionary Road. So he has been nominated before, but this is his 2nd time. And I thought Michael Shannon was actually rather good. I think it's just that Aaron Taylor Johnson surprised more people than anything. Best Visual Effects. This is probably has one of the more interesting categories because Kubo got a Best Visual Effects, which doesn't really happen for animated films. And if you're like, has that ever happened before? It did, with Nightmare Before Christmas also got nominated for Best Visual Effects. But of course, when Nightmare Before Christmas was nominated for Best Visual Effects, there was no Best Animated Feature. And also, it had been like the first stop-motion animated feature film in like forever, especially at that level. Kubo had really great green screen, had amazing special effects, so it really makes sense. I think the surprise of this nomination might actually give it an edge in Best Animated Feature. This one is a little more up in the air. I think Doctor Strange has a bit of an edge. Deepwater Horizon, I don't know how this film got as far as it did, but I didn't see it, but it's just like, wow, okay. And Rogue One, just because Star Wars has stuff in it. No Marvel movie has really won for visual effects, and not many comic book movies ever really win for visual effects, although I think Spider-Man 2 did, but I don't know of any Marvel Studios films that have ever won, so that might be something Marvel's really pushing for. Kubo might have a bit of an edge because it's been gaining traction with other guilds, particularly the costume design thing. I'm not just saying that because I know most of you watching actually like Kubo. I'm actually serious. It's a big thing in animation for any animated film to first off be nominated in a category that's not Best Animated Feature or Best Song or something. If it gets nominated for any technical categories, I look at that as a huge triumph. I know it's not as sexy as, like, you know, your other cooler categories, but it's something, and I think this really says something. It's something to be proud of. Best Production Design. I was pleasantly surprised by Hail Caesar. I was like, okay, I guess La La Land, but like Passengers, like I don't even like the production design in Passengers. I thought it was relatively weak. I'm surprised Passengers got anything, and it got 2, and like things like Silence and Popstar, and even the possibility of Deadpool kind of upsetting was taken out of there, but Passengers was considered, which, like, who even likes Passengers? Best Makeup and Hairstyling. There's always a weird little movie in Best Makeup and Hairstyling, like Jackass Presents Bad Grandpa or some weird foreign film, and this year it's A Man Called Ove, I think, which is interesting that that tradition continued. This category is like really bad. Like Star Trek Beyond didn't have great makeup in it, really, and then you have fucking Suicide Squad, like the film with the Jared Leto Joker. He looks like he's in Di Antwood or Atwood or whatever. I feel like there was better makeup, like somewhere, right? Best cinematography, Bradford Young, who shot Arrival, is the first African-American DP ever nominated. So that's pretty cool. And Arrival, I thought, was very well shot, so that's great. James Laxton, who shot Moonlight, this is his first nomination. And he also has shot Tusk and Yoga Hosers for Kevin Smith, which is kind of bizarre that someone who shot a Kevin Smith movie would be nominated for an Oscar, but hey, it happened. Silence picked up its one nomination for Rodrigo Prieto. It's his second nomination after Brokeback Mountain. He also shot fucking Passengers. Then you have Linus Sandgren. This is his first nomination for La La Land, who did the real showy Super Bowl Pepsi commercial kind of cinematography, but I'm sure it'll win because creativity is dead. Why concentrate on something that was well composed when you can think of how pretty it is? Then you have Greg Fraser, who shot Lion and also shot Rogue One. Best costume design, which the one kind of snub that maybe it's not a snub, but Kubo did get a nomination for the Costume Designers Guild. So I actually sort of thought Kubo might have a chance, but it didn't get nominated. I think most people object to, if any of the La La Land nominations people have a problem with, it's probably this one, because it's like the costume design wasn't even that great. But, you know, Jackie and Florence Foster Jenkins and Fantastic Beasts and even Allied, which, oh shit, I forgot about Allied. Best Original Screenplay. This is not a category that usually has people who have been really nominated before. It's actually fairly rare to have like multiple nominees. There's not really a lot of them, but you actually have two directors, people who are nominated for Best Director in here, which is actually semi-uncommon, believe it or not. Usually you don't have the same directors nominated in the screenplay categories. But you have Taylor Sheridan, it's his first nomination, who's a great writer and also wrote Sicario last year, but he's nominated for Hell or High Water. You also have first-time nominees from Mike Mills, who gave 20th Century Women its only nomination, even though Annette Bening was snubbed. You also have The Lobster, which got its first-time nominee. Damien Chazelle got his first nomination for Best Original Screenplay since Whiplash was adapted previously. Kenneth Lonergan is the only one who's really been nominated before in this category. This is his fourth nomination, third in this category. His last time he was nominated was for Gangs of New York, believe it or not, which he has never won before. Best Adapted Screenplay, it is the first nomination for Eric Harrisoner, who wrote Arrival. It's also the first for the guys who wrote Lion. It is the first for Moonlight, Barry Jenkins and Terrell Alvin McCraney. There was that kind of thing whether at least Moonlight would be nominated for Best Adapted or Original, and it was for Adapted because Moonlight was based on a play that was never produced. Also, the only woman who is nominated for screenwriting is Alison Schroeder, along with Theodore Melfi, who's not a woman, but they wrote the screenplay for Hidden Figures together. Kind of the big nomination, I guess this is sort of Moonlight's to lose, but the more interesting nomination is August Wilson for Fences, who is posthumously nominated. He died in 2005, so never give up on your dreams, because who knows when you'll get nominated for that Oscar. If you're wondering, like, has anyone ever won for adapted or screenwriting posthumously, someone has. It happened with Gone with the Wind. So he wrote the screenplay for Fences a long time ago, and it took forever for the movie to get made. Apparently there was some changes to it, but very minor when they eventually shot it after his death. But he actually is a posthumous nomination. That might actually help, because not only are you honoring a great film, but you're honoring like this great playwright and giving him another award to add to his rich legacy. So I think that could actually work in its favor. But it's interesting, you don't have a lot of posthumous nominations, especially with screenwriting. So it actually, I think, would be interesting if it won. Best Film Editing. This is kind of a big category. A lot of people say whoever wins Best Film Editing usually wins Best Picture. That's not entirely always the case, but most of the time it is. Most people consider what is nominated for Best Film Editing to be an indicator on when there used to be 5 nominees for Best Picture, that now people consider like film editing to be what would have been the 5 nominees had there been some, and those would have been Arrival, Hacksaw Ridge, Hell or High Water, La La Land, and Moonlight. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, with the Hacksaw Ridge part, but it is close to directing, although Hell and High Water did not get a Best Directing nomination, but it does seem fairly close, and I think Hacksaw Ridge probably would have made that. The first black woman ever nominated for editing was nominated Joy McMillan, I believe. She also edited the live-action parts of Sausage Party, interestingly enough. It's the second nomination for John Gilbert, who edited Hacksaw Ridge. His last nomination was for Fellowship of the Ring. and Tom Cross, who edited La La Land, was previously nominated for Whiplash. This one is a little more up in the air because La La Land focuses on a lot of things, but not necessarily the editing. Sound editing and music, these categories usually go to big blockbusters. It's kind of interesting. 13 Hours and Deepwater Horizon seem to get in here, these categories somehow. La La Land probably has a bit of an edge because it's a musical and there was sound in it. We'll see. Musicals don't always win in this because it's more of a blockbuster, big explosion type of category. Best documentary, of course, like I said at the opening, you have 3 African-American filmmakers nominated for Best Documentary. Previously, only 3 had ever been nominated, so this is a big deal. I really recommend OJ Made in America. If you have On Demand, you have ESPN On Demand, it's there for free. It did play in theaters, and it was actually eligible for Best Picture. That's like the one film I didn't review from last year that I actually regret not reviewing. But I really, really like that documentary. It's really, really good. I haven't seen 13th. I think I will now. When Ava DuVernay, who directed the 13th, is the first black woman nominated in this category. If you're wondering, this is my notebook where I write down all the notes. See, look at this. That's what that is. Best foreign language film. If you're wondering, The Handmaiden, if it had been nominated, would be the first South Korean film ever nominated, but it wasn't. Elle wasn't eligible because, by the way, did you know that the government of these countries picks what gets nominated for Best Foreign Language Film? Wow, that's disturbing, isn't it? I really sort of hate this category and how it's run. This is the first time an Australian film has been nominated for Best Foreign Language Film. The director of A Separation has another film in here called The Salesman, and then A Man from Uv, who also got another nomination outside of here, and Tony Erdmann, who's probably the most highly regarded one. This one's kind of more up in the air, but it's interesting that Australia got its first ever nomination. They don't always submit to get on the shortlist. Best original score. We have obviously Mika Levy, who got her first nomination, which is great. She has such wonderful scores in Under the Skin. And even Jackie, I think the score was actually really good. Other than Moonlight in this category that I'm really happy about. Moonlight, it's also first nomination, but this composer also did The Big Short. Lion, this is the guy who did Lion's first nomination. Josh Hertzfeld, this is his first nomination, but of course he's nominated 2 more times for Best Original Song, which we'll get to after this. One nomination that I hate, but there's some interesting things behind it, is Passengers, which is haunting me, I guess, through this nomination process. Will forever be remembered for reasons I will never understand, and probably no one who ever saw it will, for a score by Thomas Newman, which sounds like a previous score he did for Wall-E, which was also nominated. And interestingly enough, this is Thomas Newman's 14th nomination. It's his 13th in this category. He has the most nominations of anyone living in this category who has never won. I think Thomas Newman has done some really great scores. I do not think this is one of them, and if there's anyone I want to lose in this category, it is 100% him. But I hope he wins eventually. But it is cool. Thomas Newman's done some great work, and I think he actually sort of deserves to get this many nominations. I think that's kind of interesting. So he is actually the composer with the most nominations without a single win. So I apologize for that. You probably should have won for like American Beauty or something. Best song, if you're like, oh, La La Land, of course, has 2 nominations, but why doesn't it have 3? Like Dreamgirls and Enchanted and Beauty and the Beast and was it Aladdin or Little Mermaid? Anyway, other films have been nominated 3 times in this category, and you're wondering, why did this not happen with La La Land? What's going on? Well, okay, so in 2008, they actually made it a rule that no film can receive more than 2 nominations in Best Original Song. I don't know if you could extend it more than 3, but let's say you could have at least 3, but you can't anymore. If they had, La La Land would have the most nominations of any film ever, potentially, if that rule wasn't there. I actually think that's a possibility, but it wasn't, so they couldn't do that, so they only got 2, thank fucking God. I don't hate La La Land, but like, chill the fuck out, like, seriously. Trolls, Believe It or Not, which is also nominated. This gives Justin Timberlake his first nomination, as well as Max Martin, who's a bigger songwriter, and Sting got nominated for, what is it, the 4th time, with this other guy who has his 2nd nomination for a documentary. So forget Sing Street or Pop Star or a bunch of other songs. Here's this documentary no one's heard about, which is like totally the Best Original Song category. They always make these groaning like Best Original Song things, so someone on the couch when you're watching are like, what the fuck is that? And then they look at me like I know. I don't know what the fuck this movie is, and no one will. This is just there, so you go, why is Sting here? Aren't we over Sting? Lin-Manuel Miranda is nominated for Moana. How Far I'll Go was nominated. It said music and lyrics by Lin-Manuel Miranda, who of course will, if he wins, get the EGOT. There's a chance he could split it because there's a lot of love for Lin-Manuel Miranda. He also has a Peabody, which not a lot of people have all those, and a Peabody. I think only like somebody else. But anyway, he's going into like massive awards kind of thing. I actually like How Far I'll Go might be the song I like the most. Best Director. There's never been an African-American director who's won Best Director. Barry Jenkins actually has a really good chance if people just don't just fill out La La Land for everything, which they clearly did when they nominated it. So Barry Jenkins is only the 4th African-American director ever nominated for Best Director, which is a big deal. Damien Chazelle, it's his first nomination. Kenneth Lonergan, it's his first nomination in this category, but he's been nominated a total of 4 times. Denis Villeneuve, it's his first nomination. Mel Gibson got nominated. I haven't seen Hacksaw Ridge, but like Mel Gibson, like holy shit, how did that happen? This is his 3rd nomination, 2nd in this category. He's the only person in this category who's been nominated before and even won. So that's kind of interesting. We'll see how that goes. I think this will be like American Sniper, where it gets a ton of nominations. It'll get like a sound category or some shit. It's interesting how much they nominated for, but I guess, you know, it's World War II and like Academy loves that shit. Okay, oh shit, I need to get this done. This is taking forever. Alright, so Best Actress. A lot of, again, first nominations. Not as many in this, but first nomination for Isabelle Huppert, which is actually surprising given her long film career. It's the 2nd nomination for Emma Stone, first in this category. She's kind of favored, or at least at this point when I'm doing this. Ruth Negga, it's her first nomination. It is Natalie Portman's 3rd nomination, 2nd in this category. She has won before. And the big one is this is Meryl Streep's 20th nomination overall, 15th nomination in this category, which is the most for anyone ever in this category. I sort of feel like since Florence Foster Jenkins didn't get a ton of Oscar wins, that it actually get her nomination because of the Golden Globe speech, because she became so much more public. And also it sort of probably helped because Florence Foster Jenkins was kind of fading. But it's interesting, she kind of got this nomination not for winning for Florence Foster Jenkins and giving a speech, for doing a lifetime achievement thing, which is kind of interesting. I don't see that happening a lot, and the Golden Globes played a little more into the nominations this time, but that's also because voting was going on at the same time they were being given out. So that might have actually worked more in the Golden Globes' favor. So now I guess we have to take that seriously now. You know, I had fun compiling this, believe it or not, but reading it out, it's like, oh man. Best Actor, we're getting towards the end here. Ryan Gosling, this is his 2nd nomination in this category. He's never won. Casey Affleck, this is his 2nd nomination, first in lead. Viggo Mortensen, this is also his 2nd nomination. He's never won before. Andrew Garfield, this is his 1st nomination, and he's bouncing back from Spider-Man quite nicely, believe it or not. Denzel Washington, this is his 8th nomination altogether, 5th in this category. If he wins, it would tie him with the likes of Brando and Nicholson, as well as this is the first time, I believe, I couldn't find otherwise, that he's been nominated twice in 1 year, both for producing and acting, and he's the most nominated African-American actor of all time. So it really shows how prominent and great of an actor he is. He's really probably one of our all-time best film actors, and he's one of the most recognizable film actors of all time. So Best Picture, we have some kind of interesting nominations on Matt Damon nominated for as producer, as well as Denzel Washington first time as producer, as well as Pharrell Williams nominated in this category for Hidden Figures. Scott Rudin, this is his 8th nomination producing. The record for most nominations for a producer is 9 with Steven Spielberg, of course. This is also the 2nd time a black woman has been nominated for producing. The first time was Oprah for Selma. I was not entirely surprised by the Best Picture nominees. I knew Hacksaw Ridge had a chance. I sort of thought Lion would get lost in the shuffle. I was hoping, because I haven't seen it. I've seen 6 of the nominees. I've seen Hidden Figures and a shot of a review, but I haven't edited it yet, but that'll come out shortly. I love that Arrival's in here, and Hell or High Water, and Moonlight, which was my pick for the best movie of the year. Those are probably the ones I'd recommend the highest. I haven't seen Fences or Hacksaw Ridge or Lion yet. I'm gonna try to see Lion and Fences. I haven't seen many theaters playing Hacksaw Ridge, but I assume that will change. But I think it's a fairly decent list. The ones I've seen on here, I've all liked. Even La La Land, which I keep shitting on. It's just like, I don't think it's as good as All About Eve or Titanic and things like that. So it'll be an interesting awards season, I think. We'll see how things shake out. We'll see if La La Land actually doesn't win the amount everyone thinks it will. I think there's a chance, but it's probably going to win Best Picture and win a lot of stuff. A lot of people are like, oh, it's going to sweep, definitely. But we don't really know that yet. So don't go crazy. A lot can change between now, when the nominations are announced, and when the awards are given out. Like, seriously, totally different things can happen because of the way actors behave or the perception of those films. So don't get ahead of yourself and start blathering out weird shit like that, you know. I guess it was disappointing Deadpool didn't get a nomination, but it was kind of like a crazy nomination to happen anyway. But I think it would have been a lot more fun, and really when your highest grossing Best Picture nominee at this time is Arrival, you're not really screaming fun, are you? Or appealing appealing to the masses. Although I think La La Land sort of gets to do that, so because definitely by the time the awards happen, it will be the highest grossing Best Picture nominee. And although I really like Arrival, I think the one film that most people it's not going to get as much attention, really see Hell or High Water if you can. I really recommend that one. I think I got everything in terms of stats with the Oscar nominations. Please let me know if you have any extra ones or anything you want to talk about and stuff like that. Thank you all very much for watching. There will be a movie crap that will be specifically about news that will come out on Friday. This is just about the Oscar nominations. I hope you enjoy these videos and all that. Comment below if you want to react to them, which I'm sure you will. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and subscribe if you would like to.